Hi there, welcome to Terraland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Virgo energy. And like usual on this channel, I'm going to do 2 rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Virgo energy. Shadowy people can be up there because we're always battling our own shadow nature and other people might be in shadowy energy. But basically the top row can represent what action people are taking that could be different from a way they used to think or feel or live their life. The bottom row can represent our comfort zone. It can represent some of our fears and our insecurities. And as we're moving forward in life, we're kind of always having to temper our more shadowy nature, right? Otherwise, our shadowy nature could kind of get in the driver's seat of our life. And then as we move forward, we live in a world of duality. Our own shadow nature is going to try to manipulate us. Other people in shadowy energy are going to try to manipulate us, or tempt us, things like that. So we got the top row, we have the bottom row. Sometimes some people, we could have lived our life a certain way, had a blast. Then we're ready to kind of move forward in life a little differently. When we want to move forward a little differently, some of the other people in our life might be like, why would you do that? We're still having a blast living our life here. And, sometimes we kind of get on different pages than other people, and life is kind of about learning these lessons, and we're all kind of motivated and inspired at different times in our life to kind of live life a little differently. And sometimes we can have people in our life that it's not a problem. They say, hey, you go do you, and we tell them to go do them, and it's not a problem. But it's more of a problem if it's someone we had wanted to have move forward with us, and they don't want to move forward with us in that way. Or we realize they want to keep repeating a certain pattern, and we don't want to keep repeating that certain pattern. Whether it's a friend, family member, or romantic interest, or a workplace, We got all sorts of different people that we deal with in the world. Now, the bottom row, in addition to, it can be read as our comfort zone. It could be read as our fears and our insecurities. It can also represent shadowy energy in the world and shadowy energy within ourselves. If you kind of have more hope and faith and belief in yourself to some degree, there could be other people that don't like that. There could be people you're in friendship or relationship with who don't want you to keep loving and believing in yourself, want you to give up on your dreams and maybe indulge them in a workplace, friendship, or relationship. In high vibe, we're loving and encouraging each other to kind of grow to our full potential and believe in ourselves and believe in our dreams. And shadowy energy can be they're happy living their life a certain way or us staying in that job, and they kind of want us to give up that dream too. And the bottom row can represent staying stuck in something where we're not continuing to love and believe in ourselves or grow and mature ourselves. So there's a lot of different stories here. But hopefully we'll be able to get the gist of how different people harness their Virgo energy. We all tap into Virgo energy. It's kind of about what our long-term goals are at any point in time in our life, what our truth is. Do we want to keep growing and maturing ourselves? Do we not? Virgo can talk about looking at things we'd rather keep hidden in the dark, or looking at those things that are hidden in the dark that we know kind of manipulate us to free ourselves from it. High vibe energy is freeing yourself from things that manipulate you to go live your authentic truth. Less manipulated by your ego or your fear or your immature nature, etc., and by the world and other people. Okay, we'll stop there. Okay. Well, let's look at the bottom row. It looks pretty simple. The reason for the bottom row's reading is the Three of Pentacles. Like Virgo, this is Capricorn, Earth sign energy. So in our Earth sign energy within ourselves, we can all be more manipulated by our more worldly, egoic nature and the world. There's a lot of things we want to go invest in and indulge in the world. And we're sure those things will make us happy. And at any stage of our life, we think that. It's just some of the things we thought we maybe wanted to go invest and indulge in and that we thought would make us happy changes maybe throughout our life, right? And we could have lived our life a certain way. Some people are. Let's go look. We have the Ace of Wands. We have a card not showing itself, which is the Four of Swords. Then we have the Strength card, and then we have the Three of Swords. So, shadowy energy can mean that we're kind of tipped out of balance. So, the Four of Swords that wasn't showing itself is Libra energy, represented by the Scales of Justice. When we're more balanced within ourselves, we've kind of offset our fears, our insecurities, our immature nature with kind of hope and faith and belief and love, then we're kind of moving forward in a more balanced way. And, we all at any stage of life that we're at, there's always new things to learn, right? And we can only live our life at the way we view it at any given moment. So you could look at everybody in a way as kind of, if they're not letting love and intuition guide them and tempering their more worldly egoic nature, uh, maybe a little tipped out of balance, maybe a little more caught up in these things of the world. Just as a person who lives in the world, we want to be in friendship, relationship, have stability, have security, might like some of, the perks of living in the world and want to work together with others is what the Three of Pentacles can talk about. Again, we all want to be in friendship, we want to be in a relationship, like a job. And so sometimes those things kind of, to different degrees in people, has them more tipped out of balance than others. But we all can be kind of manipulated by our more worldly nature and our want for some of those things of the world, which again can just be friendship and relationship and have a job. So we're inspired by those things. Sometimes, we kind of sacrifice our own truth and being in more just and fair and balanced relationships because we really want those things. We have people in our life that we want to move forward with us in a relationship. And what if those people aren't moving forward with us in a relationship? Well, then, it could kind of keep us stuck and kind of out of balance. So, and with some of the people that we did move forward with in relationship, we could have realized that we harness our Libra energy differently. And maybe their truth could be that they could be more, the Strength card is Leo energy. Shadowy Leo is kind of being more about yourself or things of the world, or maybe being full of yourself, or being a little more emotionally manipulative in a relationship. And the Three of Swords could be, again, that their truth is, in our dualistic nature of free will, the truth is some people are more about themselves or these things of the world. And they want to work more with these things of the world and think you should make your life more about these things of the world. Other people might look at life from a little different perspective, might have a little more hope and faith and belief in themselves, and maybe listen to their intuition and have more hope and faith and belief in love. And, in a world of duality, there can be the extremes where some people are much more inspired by the world and they have no interest in getting more balanced within themselves. To go about things in a more balanced way, it's like, nope, that doesn't interest me. I am all about these things of the world, indulging myself, or whatever it could be. That's their truth. And we can have a hard time accepting the truth of it. And we can have people in our life, whether they're our adult child, brother, sister, mom, dad, a long-term friend, romantic interest, and we can have a really hard time accepting the truth. The Four of Swords comes after the Three of Swords. Of course, before that, well, is the one and the two. The one is we have a new beginning. The two is we could think we're on the same page. The three can be that we're kind of heartbroken. We do have these different ideas of kind of what our truth is and what drives and motivates us and what we think is just and fair. And then we're kind of heartbroken. But, life is about coming in contact with all these different people in the world to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And what we might not realize is we can all repeat certain patterns. Maybe because we have some healing to do, and that's what the Four Swords can talk about. That sometimes we don't realize that we're repeating certain patterns because there's kind of some truth, and Virgo is about doing that work within yourself and kind of going on this journey of life to help us get more clear about our truth and maybe see some issues within ourselves and maybe see some issues within some other people that we realize kind of keeps us tipped out of balance. Shadowy energy can just be being more codependent, looking to people to love me, validate my worth and value. High vibe Virgo is doing that work within yourself to love and invest in yourself and know your worth and value. And, we got to go on. Learning to love yourself can take decades, you know? And some people never get to where they love themselves and they keep staying in more codependent energy, looking to kind of Capricorn of the Three of Pentacles, and Earth sign energy can just kind of represent the world. Some people are always looking to the world to validate their worth and value and love them and appreciate them. And sometimes when they even have people in their life who are more balanced, just, fair, loving, high vibe Capricorn is like free from the devil and are more just, fair, loving, willing to work together with people. Some people are like, oh, well, yeah, you love me, or that's the kind of person you are. But I need those people to love me. I need those people to appreciate me. You know, maybe because everybody can have their idea of what's just and fair. For the people who aren't more motivated to work together with people in a just and fair way, and high vibe Leo would be that you temper your more immature, worldly, egoic nature to work together. High vibe Three of Pentacles talks about working together cooperatively. High vibe Libra, you work together in a just and fair way. Treat other people the way you like to be treated. And if it's romantic, it should be because of love, not for status or ego or image or to be indulged. For the people who that is not their truth, they don't harness these energies in a high vibe way. If they get themselves in a more mismatched relationship, they could be in that relationship for a while. They might be hiding that they're trying to heal or get more balance within themselves, and being in relationships with high vibe Leo is very loving and encouraging and warm and authentic, and they're balanced and they work together with people cooperatively. And in their high vibe Virgo, they put in work and effort. Well, some people can be in a relationship with people like that because it's nice to be in a relationship with people like that, and it maybe could help them heal from some past pain and heartbreak that they'd experienced in their life. And we can get in relationships with people and we can be kind of loving and encouraging and supportive to each other, right? Or hopefully we wouldn't keep staying in it. But what if during the course of that relationship, one person does do some of this work within themselves to heal? And that's inner work. And that's what Virgo talks about. You do that inner work to look at those things that maybe could keep you more focused on the past, looking to these things of the world, and again, looking to things of the world to be the answer. I'm going to drink this, eat this, hang out with these people, do this, make my life about this, whatever it could be. But never really seeing the truth that I need to learn to love myself and heal and kind of free myself from looking more to the past or other people in the world to be the answer. And then that can be what frees you to get you out of more codependent energy or whatever. And underneath the Three of Pentacles, then we have the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups can talk about loving yourself, kind of working through these, the Eight of Cups walks away from the Seven of Cups to go to the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups can be about being more independent. And walking away from the Seven of Cups can be, again, emotionally, we were kind of maybe more caught up in the world, weren't seeing the truth of some things that we thought for sure were going to make us happy. And so the Seven of Cups can kind of be kind of getting caught up in the illusion of things. And, each of the cups, each of the swords, each of the wands, as you move up in it, it can mean that you're kind of growing and maturing yourself in different ways. But again, coming in contact with people to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And hopefully, as we go through these life experiences, to do some of this inner work to heal our more immature nature. So our more immature nature, we work with it, hopefully being loving and encouraging to ourselves, not kind of living in fantasy land and not staying more immature, not indulging other people who might want us to live our life that way because they live their life that way. We go through these phases of life, we learn lessons in life. Hopefully, during the course of those situations, we hopefully heal from some self-limiting beliefs or past pain and heartbreak. And we kind of free ourselves to become independent of an old way of living life or viewing life. We offer truth and love and encouragement to the people in our life to come with. And some of those people are like, no, you can go ahead. Which sometimes we had people in our life and they were like, I don't want to keep repeating this. I'm ready to move forward and become independent of this stage. You want to come with? And sometimes we were the one who said, nope, I want to keep doing this. you know, we're all at different stages in life and we all have lessons to learn and we're all on our own journey, and things that could manipulate some people maybe doesn't manipulate me. Some of the things that could manipulate me don't manipulate other people. And we can all work through those issues at different times in our life. Some people are ready to be more independent. Some people could stay codependent all their life. Some people kind of quit being so manipulated by their more worldly nature, which can be a big spectrum of things, again, from lust or greed or pride or ego or laziness or indulgence or self-indulgence or making your life all about money and materialism and status and image and trying to get the world to validate your worth and value. Everybody's kind of on their own journey. And as we go on these different journeys, we can meet people, start new friendships, relationships, get new jobs, move, whatever the case is. And all those people could have their fears and insecurities. And it's kind of just trying to get to know people to, again, be loving and encouraging to people. But, if we kind of see that, oh, you still have some ways of viewing life or living life or treating people, say, in a way that I don't think is just and fair, eventually you come to realize, or kind of what you want to invest in and how you want to move forward. And, maybe your idea of what you think is just and fair and your idea of the dream life is different. That then over time we might kind of realize that, again, what they think is just and fair, how they want to live their life or how they want to treat people could be different. And then with some of those people, we're kind of not interested in healing a relationship with some of those people. Even though initially we did want to heal a relationship maybe with them, and for a long time, we could have kind of been in our ego and heartbroken. Some people are still in their ego, which can be being in their competitive nature, kind of feeling rejected and all that. We can all do that. But then there can come a time where we kind of get inspired within ourselves that, you know, the strength card of Leo, also represented by the sun, can talk about, and Virgo, I kind of need to deal with the truth of the situation. And then, I could want to heal a relationship, or I could like things to be more just and fair and balanced, but the truth is they're not. And if other people don't want to heal a relationship with me, or other people don't want to be more just and fair, or other people don't want to be more independent, or they have their idea of their dream life and it's not the same as mine, well, eventually the high vibe people kind of get inspired within themselves. It's like listening to their inner child nature that says, if we're going to work together with other people, both people kind of have to, or the group or whatever, has to be willing to work cooperatively together. And if that's not the case, then I do need to accept the truth of it. And then in high vibe Leo, kind of give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me, to keep loving and believing in myself and believing in my dreams and knowing my worth and value. You can always have shadowy people that you could be a just and fair and loving person, and other people don't want to be in a relationship with you because you are. Well, can I manipulate you? No. Oh. Well, then you can go. I'll go find someone else. Are you more about status and ego and image? Because I am. It's like, not really. Okay. Well, I'll go find someone else. Are you going to indulge me in my more immature behavior? No. Okay, well, then I'll go find someone else. If they're more shadowy, they don't want to be in a relationship with someone who's more authentic, balanced, just, fair, and wants to work together with people cooperatively and keep moving forward, kind of healing and growing and maturing themselves, and not living a life of illusion and staying in denial of the truth. And some people turn their back on, I don't want to see the truth. I might not want to be more just and fair. I like to be indulged in a relationship, or I like it to be more about me, or I want to be in friendships and relationships with people who don't require me to grow up and mature myself or temper my ego. If people were motivated to be more authentic and more just and fair and work together with people cooperatively, if that was really their truth, they would do it. And some people are like, no, I want to be in the relationship, I might enjoy it, or I want to stay at this job, but I want to be like this, and you harness these energies in a more high vibe way, and indulge me in like maybe my more immature or stubborn or prideful or bossy or whatever way. So this is the Ace of Wands, so that can mean in their fire sign energy within themselves, in their Aries, in their Leo, in their Sagittarius, kind of what motivates and inspires them. And all of us, to a degree, for probably the first 30 to 50 years of our life, are pretty, in our fire sign, caught up in the world. Again, because, the younger we are, the more life we have to experience and things we haven't experienced. And, it is going on this journey of learning these lessons. But some people could make the decision at some point in their life that I still keep wanting to make my life more motivated and inspired by the world. Maybe not even as interested in love. I get hurt doing love, don't want to do love. I'd have to temper my ego nature and quit being more maybe about me or these things of the world and do love or treat people in a more just and fair way. And I don't want to do any of that, everybody has free will. And the truth is, some people, they're not inspired. you know, the more high vibe people in their fire sign nature within themselves, they are more inspired to not like things to manipulate them, kind of maybe don't feel proud of themselves when they come to realize I've been indulging myself in some more immature or stubborn or prideful or whatever ways of being. I don't like feeling more out of balance. I like to feel more balanced. I like to be a more just and fair and loving and warm and work together with people cooperatively. And they kind of learn those lessons throughout life. It's just that some people didn't learn some of those lessons that some other people learned. And the other people are inspired to love themselves and free themselves to keep learning lessons in life, keep going on the adventure, and again, not more to be manipulated by things within themselves or things outside themselves. Truth and love is more what drives and motivates them. So, for people, we can always be loving and encouraging people, but it's kind of getting out of our ego that, accepting that truth that everybody has their free will to live their life the way they want it, have their idea of what they think is just and fair, what they think would make them happy. And sometimes we have to. I think the biggest thing is it can be hard if you're someone who's motivated and inspired to want to work together with people in a just and fair and loving way when other people aren't doing that. It can be really hard to accept the truth of it because you think, of course, everybody's motivated and inspired to work together with people in a just and fair and loving way. But you get in some of those more mismatched friendships, relationships, workplaces, and can't you can't keep staying in denial of the truth. If people wanted to be more just and fair, they would. If they wanted to treat other people in a be more authentic, come out from behind their defensive nature or egoic nature or immature nature and be willing to get more balanced and work together with people more cooperatively, they would. And it's kind of interesting because I view the sevens as kind of the tipping point. And emotionally, since this is the Eight of Cups, kind of seeing that some people are tipped emotionally more in favor, which the Seven of Cups is Scorpio energy, which for one can be fixed sign energy. It is fixed sign energy where it can be harder for some people to deal with change or be more independent or get out of their comfort zone. Pisces and Virgo are zodiac signs that help us, that we kind of tap into to transition out of phases of life. And some people, might have a little more fixed sign energy within them. Leo's fixed sign energy, the Seven of Cups, this could all represent the Seven of Cups. And just still, have a way of living life and viewing life, and it could be harder for them to be willing to become independent of certain ways of living life or viewing life. Just from the Four of Swords to the Three of Swords, some people saw the truth. They were illuminated to the truth that, wait a minute, there are things I like about this and people I could like about it, but it's kind of seeing the truth that our truth is different. And, if you're going to bring a dream into reality with people, you kind of have to have the same truth, which can be, are you motivated and inspired by love? No, not really. Are you more about the world? Yep. Are you do you like to be just and fair? Not really. Kind of like to be a little bit more about me. Shadowy Leo can be the people within themselves are just like are more manipulative, and they think that, anybody who's shadowy, if they're bossy, controlling, lazy, immature, prideful, egotistical, think, all these things that they think, well, they think those things are just and fair, just like all of us when we were 15 and 18 and 21. We lived our life certain ways. We thought that was just and fair. Well, do we want to keep being in friendship and relationship with people who we kind of feel like, yeah, I can kind of relate because I've been there? Do I want to keep living my life that way? Do I want to hang out with you more when you're kind of at a different stage of life? No, because I don't find that emotionally fulfilling. I've already been there and done it. I want to become independent of it. Maybe you should go find some people who are more on that same page, right? And you could have had some people that, you could have moved forward with them in a relationship and then found out the truth that, shadowy energy, kind of in the Seven of Cups, and a more shadowy Pisces nature is just about creating an illusion, trying to present themselves as a more just and fair and stable person that you should work together with them. And then as time goes by, they might just want to heal and rest within a foundation, but not really free themselves from anything that manipulates them. I just want to have a job to rest within. I just want to be in a relationship to rest within. But they never want to deal with the truth. This is good. Yep, I'm happy. I feel more balanced now. This is good. Let's just keep doing this. And they never want to free themselves from things that manipulate them to give birth to anything new. And they could be happy living their life like that, but other people are kind of inspired within themselves to keep growing and maturing themselves, and other people could be like, no, we should just keep doing this like forever. This works for me. I don't want to give birth to anything new. I don't want to step out of my comfort zone. I don't want to deal with the truth of anything that might manipulate me. How about you ignore all that stuff and we'll just do this? And some people could be really tempted by it because with the Strength card, Leo energy, and the Justice card, and the Three of Pentacles of Capricorn, it could look very abundant in a lot of ways. Very, like you have justice in the world. But if you're not continuing to grow and heal and mature yourself and kind of keep shedding old layers of yourself, like you shed being a 15-year-old to become an 18-year-old, and shed being more like an 18-year-old to be like a 21-year-old, you know, the truth is some people are like, this is how I live my life. I want to live my life like this forever. I have no inspiration, no motivation to ever do my life any different. Well, that's fine. They just need to find someone else who equally is on that same page. And other people, part of the process of life is that, you do go on this journey. You do learn lessons in life. You kind of do see what does work, what doesn't work, what are the good building blocks, what are the not so good building blocks. And I see the truth of it, and I kind of let go of the things that aren't really working. But again, if some people never have a problem with it and don't want to ever maybe step out of their comfort zone in any way, which is kind of like facing your fears, they just want to live their life like that. And yeah, if they can find someone else who feels like that, they might keep moving forward with those people. They're kind of on the same page. Some other people could have felt like shadowy energy is kind of dead and stagnant. Love gives birth to new things. And for some people, that's not their truth. Let's just keep doing this. This seems just and fair. I like this. I'm not interested in giving birth to anything new in my life or looking at life any differently or whatever. So, some other people do. And So the reason for the top row is we had these cards kind of flip over on my deck, and these three cards weren't showing themselves. So I took them all as the reason for the top row's reading. Again, when cards aren't showing themselves, that can mean with some of the people in our life, we harness those energies differently. And when we get in those jobs, friendships, and relationships, this can be kind of what we're trying to work on up here. And we think everybody's kind of motivated by that. Everybody can have some fears and insecurities of being heartbroken and wondering if people are going to work together cooperatively, or if people are going to be immature or unjust or unfair or manipulative or prideful. Um, but we could keep moving forward in those relationships, kind of having those fears and insecurities. But as time goes by, we could realize that we harness our Libra energy differently. And then we could realize that some of the people that we have or could have been or could be in the future, we've always kind of got to deal with this, that sometimes people hide that they're not balanced. Some people hide that they do have a different way of viewing life, and they know it even when they get in a relationship with people. Like the people who are more about themselves, more motivated and inspired to get in relationships and stay in relationships more the for their own reasons, and it's not really love and maybe money or status or ego or image. They could know that when they get in a relationship with other people who they know are motivated by love. And they know that's not their truth. I'm not doing love. I'd have to come out from behind my ego. I gave up that truth. I don't even really like to be just and fair in a relationship. I kind of like to be immature and indulged in a relationship. I like it to be more about me. I might get in it, though, for the status, the ego, the image. Because that also works. But just not going to do love. That's not their truth. And so you could have realized with some of the people in your life that they harness these energies in a more worldly, shadowy way, and they didn't know that you harness high vibe Libra in addition to Virgo, and that you kind of harness these energies in a more high vibe way. What are they? The King of Pentacles, the Queen of Swords, and the Empress. So the Empress is in high vibe, it's about love, and it is Libra and Taurus energy, which is about people should be who they say they are, kind of walk the talk, and from love. And, the Queen of Swords is Aquarius energy, which can be about our dreams. And we've all dealt with things in our past, and the King of Pentacles, again, in the world. The Queen of Swords can talk about feeling betrayed. And so have other people. But some people decide, that's it. I'm not going to do love anymore. Now I'm going to live more from my mind than my heart and make my life more about these things of the world or me. Because, again, the Queen of Swords can be feeling betrayed. So it's like, I'm not going to do love anymore. So I've decided my idea of the dream life for some was because they've been hurt before. For other people, it's just a free will choice. you know, I'm more motivated and inspired. Shadowy Libra and Taurus is more about ego and image and status. And then the Queen of Swords, also represented by the Star card, it's more like looking like a shining star in the world. And then some people are like, I want to be in a more worldly view of life, defensive to love, but I think it's just and fair that people who, in high vibe, the Empress is about love, whether these people are male or female, it doesn't matter. But I think it's just and fair if I have more of these things of the world. Loving people should want to be in a relationship with me because I have more of those things of the world. They're loving, I have worldly things. Oh my gosh, like a perfect match. And yeah, it can seem that way. That is Taurus, kind of a philosophy of life. But it's not really just and fair. It's more transactional. But we all can have, depending on how we've been brought up and living in the world, it can kind of seem like, you know, sometimes loving people, they might be abundant in love. Other people might be abundant in things of the world. And so then you can hope that you could work together, and hopefully the loving people wouldn't get in a relationship with them if they didn't love them. And they, of course, think things will be just and fair and all that good stuff. And the other person's like, I like it like this. But you can get along for a really long time, until you kind of realize that they're always going to be emotionally defensive to being more just or fair or balanced or aligned with love. And they defend their more worldly view of life. And though you could love some people in your life, it's like, if your truth is, in your view of life, is that you want to be defensive to love and being more just and fair, out of love again for myself, I wish you peace and love to go do that, but I'm going to move on. And so then we have the Three of Cups. Here we had the Eight of Cups, and we go down to the Three of Cups. It's letting go of the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups is Scorpio, emotional water sign energy, where it's like, again, the Eight of Cups moves away from the Seven of Cups. The 5, 6, 7 are all Scorpio energy. That it could just seem like it's more superficial and shallow. Like you can't really have a more deep, meaningful relationship with them. Or in the Five of Cups, it feels like the people seem to be more focused on the past and don't want to do this work to free themselves from things that manipulate them. So it always keeps manipulating them. And they could have regrets in their past that they never worked through. They also could be people who, haven't gotten over, kind of like, well, why aren't those people working with me more cooperatively? I know you're working with me cooperatively, but that's kind of the person you are. I expect you to work cooperatively, but it really bugs me that those people aren't working with me cooperatively. And then that can be more of their attention. It's kind of like not appreciating the people they do have in their life who are loving and encouraging. Because in a little shadowy energy, some people are like, but I want more. I want more people to like me. I want people to more work with me cooperatively. I want more people to value me or whatever. And so the more high vibe people in their life could feel like, I don't think you appreciate that I tried to work together with you in a just and fair and loving and encouraging way. It's just like, just feeling like it's not valued, or feeling like people are trying to emotionally manipulate you. So people work through that Five of Cups to, I don't want to stay in a relationship where people aren't willing to learn to love themselves to become more independent, aren't willing to deal with some truths. And I don't want to keep being sad, and I might feel kind of sad and heartbroken. I had this dream I wanted to bring into reality, but I need people who are working together with me cooperatively in a just and fair way and being authentic, not being more superficial and shallow and kind of hiding behind their defensive nature or their egoic nature. I want an emotionally fulfilling, authentic, loving relationship. So they had to work through those regrets to align with their more loving nature. So going from maybe before being in some relationships, because those people could be, people they have in their life in the Three of Cups, or, people in different foundations that they're in. But And that could be the common thing that kind of holds them together. But the high vibe people could want to be in relationships with people, regardless of if you're people I've known or I have some type of foundation with. Can I still know those people, interact with those people, try to be loving and encouraging people in their life? Yeah, but I more might want to work with people who I think are more motivated to work together with me in the Three of Cups from love. And, you know, the high vibe people could have love for these people, but they could feel like those people don't want them to invest in more deep, meaningful relationships. Like the people in the Knight of Wands could be, yes, you be loving, I will, and shadowy fire sign again can be, you be loving, but I'm kind of hiding that I harness these energies in a more shadowy way. I want to indulge in a relationship with you. Great, let's do this. And let's not see the truth that I might be more immature. I might be more about myself. I might think it's just and fair to indulge myself in relationships, and I want to stay here. Well, the other people during the course of the relationship might get inspired to emotionally grow and mature themselves, whether they're male or female. And then those people are kind of ready to move forward. And the other people are like, nope, I want to do this. And then it could be, if you want to go do that, you have to go find someone else because I'm going to do this. And if it's not with you, it'll be with someone else. And that could be what happens. Some people were ready to emotionally move forward because the Queen of Pentacles typically holds the one pentacle. And again, the queens can talk about how we think and feel. They did some inner work. It's the Virgo within ourself that goes within to heal or grow or mature ourselves or get out of past pain and heartbreak or whatever to come out with the truth. And when we come out with the truth, then that kind of sets us free. Whatever kind of used to be a way of living life or viewing life or things that manipulated us, we kind of work through it. Those things don't manipulate us to the way that they did. And we're ready to move forward in life differently. And the other people are like, nope, I want to keep doing this. So then in the Ten of Cups, it can talk about closing out a cycle emotionally of a way of living life or viewing life that at one time we could have loved, could have found emotionally fulfilling. But, again, it's just like, was it great to be an 18-year-old, 21-year-old, or 25-year-old? Yeah. Was it just and fair for us to live our life that way? Yeah, that's where we were at emotionally. That is how we viewed life. It was our emotional maturity level. But as we learn lessons in life, we don't want to keep living our life like that. And sometimes some other people do. And that same pattern can repeat later in our life. So some people are ready to emotionally detach from just a way of living life and viewing life because they feel like they've been there and done that and they're ready to move forward in life a little differently. And again, I think they offer, be loving and encouraging and just and fair to work with people that might be a little more fearful or something to see if they want to move with. And some of the people are like, no, I want to keep doing this. And basically, if you won't do it that way, you can go. And the other people are like, well, if you want to keep doing that, we're obviously on different pages. So I just think high vibe people do offer people love, because that's how they free themselves. I accept that our truth is different. And they get out of their ego about it. And then we have the Six of Swords, the King of Cups, the King of Wands, and the Eight of Wands. In our more fire sign nature, we can be at different, again, probably, the first 50 years of our life, pretty caught up in a lot of these things of the world that we want to manifest, and we want to be in the friendships and relationships and maybe get married, maybe have children. But then when we're have kind of manifested some of those things, just like we went to college and we're really focused on that, if a person went to college, well, then that's the primary focus. And we maybe, for some people, didn't invest more in relationships as much because I need to work on this first. Then I'll be ready to move to that phase of life. And then we move to that next phase of life, and we've emotionally closed out a cycle of something that we wanted to invest in, but it's just part of the dream. The high vibe people have a next dream. Let's keep moving forward. Let's see what we need to let go of and detach from that maybe is keeping us repeating an old pattern. And some people no longer find repeating that old pattern fulfilling. And they're ready to go invest in the next stage of the next part of their dream of their life. And it's not to keep repeating a same pattern. And that's just and fair for those people in the King of Swords. Everybody has the free will to live their life the way they want it, that they think I view the King of Swords as Libra. And, but we can have different ideas. Some people don't want to grow up and mature themselves. They don't have to. They just need to find other people who are on the same page as them. Because down here, this is pretty much all, well, the strength card, but again, the strength card can kind of represent ego and operating from your more worldly egoic nature. And up here we have the Knight, the Queen of Pentacles, the King of Swords, the King of Wands. Then we have what is that? The King of Pentacles, the Queen of Swords, the Empress, much more mature energies. In tarot, we have the Pages, the Knights, the Kings, the Queens, the Emperor, the Empress, the Hierophant, and the High Priestess. And in high vibe, that represents people continuing to grow and mature themselves to their full potential. And some people could be younger than you. Some people are just more immature, and they could be 40 years older than you. I mean, we've all been out in the world, and we've seen people that they're bully, bitchy, witchy, gossipy, backstabbing, immature, whatever, And it doesn't matter, everybody can be at different emotional maturity levels, and it doesn't have anything to do with their age. Then some people could be anywhere on the age spectrum, and they can conduct themselves and really are a more stable, grounded, insightful, just, fair, inspiring, loving person, We've all got free will. We have the free will to keep investing in emotionally growing and maturing ourselves or not. And some people choose not to. So people have a dream and they're taking action on that dream. The masculine cards can represent how people are presenting themselves in the world and what kind of action they're taking. So some people are inspired emotionally to close out an old cycle because they have a dream and they're taking action on that dream. They're inspired within themselves to kind of let go of an old dream because the 5, the 6, and the 7 of Swords is Aquarius energy. We go on this journey, we view life, we have a dream, but then as we go on that journey, we can see some things again that we don't like about it. The 6 of Swords moves away from the 5 of Swords. So, but again, the 5 of Swords can be Aquarius energy. We lived our life, we were kind of moving forward with some things, but there could have been some things again that we were kind of feeling stuck about, because the difference between the 3 and the 5 is the 2 of Swords, which is Libra energy, just like the 3 of Swords that, well, what do you think is just and fair? And then in your Aquarius energy, how do you want to move forward? And if we take the 5 plus the 1 sword, we get Oh, wait, that's a 6. The 6 plus the 1, we have the 7. We can have people in our life for time periods, a year to 5 years, 3 5-year time periods, 3 10-year time periods. We go through these cycles with people, and we can be in friendship and relationship with people, and we can all kind of go on that journey and work through some of these issues. And I'm saying that because we go from the 3 up here to the 6. Part of that could be that we could have went through cycles with people, but there can be a point in time where everybody was kind of willing to do some healing and growing and maturing themselves, but then some people could get to be kind of harnessing this energy in a more shadowy way, where it's like, that's it, I'm done, you know and they kind of have this way. It got to a place where I'm good with this, let's stay here. That's kind of the 1 to the 8 of wands is the 7 of wands, defending this, let's do this. And again, a relationship can get stuck anytime in a relationship at any different time along the way. Things can kind of get stuck. They can be challenging, they can be difficult, there can be ego, there can be heartbreak, there can be illusions, dealing with our immaturity. And are we willing to emotionally grow and mature ourselves? Are we willing to become more independent of things? And we can move forward with people, and then it can get to a point where then maybe that next phase is like, nope. Then we have the fire sign energy here at the end. In their fire sign energy, some people, instead of being more inspired to be in a relationship, but it's maybe still having a more worldly perspective of it. Can people like each other, have love for each other? But it's a whole different way of living life if your whole long-term viewpoint in your Virgo nature of self. My truth is, I kind of think we have these things of the world to work with. Maybe not inspired to invest in looking at life from a higher perspective and believing there's more to work with in the world. High vibe, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Libra, Taurus. I don't believe that. Some people could feel that way. They might act like they're that type of person who has like hope and faith and belief that there's more to work with in the world than just the world. We were given our creative nature, our intuitive nature, that we could listen to and be inspired by in our fire sign energy to go on this adventure in life, quit making our life being so manipulated by the world and our worldly nature, to look at life from a higher perspective, that there's more to life than just these things of the world or us. But some people don't think there is any like higher truth or justice to aspire to. We're just a blip, and we're here, and the world says to make it about this, and maybe they'll put a plaque on a wall about us or something. And they could be people who really don't, it would require this major shift in their Virgo nature of, and they could really, again, we kind of talked about the 6 of Swords moves away from the 5 of Swords, which could be people in their Aquarius energy within themselves, have mental conflict about maybe even believing, with Libra being about the scales of justice, but it's this concept that we live in a world of duality. And they could probably see people who have more hope and faith and belief and love, but they could think those people live in fantasy land. you know? But those people also could be maybe less tipped out of balance and more balance between, and Pisces here in the 8 of Cups and the 9 and 10. and Virgo are opposite sides of the zodiac wheel. So as you get more balance within yourself, and we do have our worldly nature and our thought and our logic and our reason, but we also have our creative, inspired, intuitive nature. And Virgo kind of talks about these unique talents, skills, and interests and gifts we've been given. And one of the gifts we've been given is this creative, inspired, intuitive nature. We're part of the animal kingdom, and all the animals have their certain qualities and traits. They don't question them, they use them. And the big one I like to think of that always comes to mind is like a bat has sonar to navigate in the dark. And that's kind of in high vibe Pisces, and being more balanced within ourselves and having more hope and faith and belief that I have more things to work with than just these things of the world. I have in my Virgo nature these unique gifts, talents, skills, and interests that I've been given, just like I've been given my emotional nature, my thought, my intellect. I've also been given this more creative, inspired nature that's kind of like in the invisible realm, And I'm gonna work with that to help guide me in the decisions I make instead of living more from my mind than my heart and my ego nature and my worldly nature, and just make my life more about me or these things of the world. Other people could think there is a higher truth and purpose to being on the planet. And it's kind of like whether a person has religious beliefs or not, it's kind of like referring to shadowy energy as the devil at the big picture and God at the big picture of high vibe energy. We live in a world of duality where people have free will to invest in whatever thoughts, feelings, emotions, or actions that they want to take. All those are possibilities. And we as a human being vessel have the opportunity to be inspired by and embrace, burp, feed, and grow bigger shadowy aspects of ourselves or more high vibrational aspects of ourselves. And if we align with, in our free will, to align with the more hopeful, believing nature of ourselves, offer truth and love and encouragement to our more immature, shadowy nature, love and believe in ourselves, we will probably be able to give birth to things emotionally and in our life and feel more stable and grounded and abundant within ourselves, getting out of more codependent, self-indulgent energy. But you have to make that free will choice. What thoughts, emotions, actions, ways of living life and viewing life? High vibe Pisces, like if I look at life from a different perspective, if I expand my perception of myself and the world and how I view myself and what I believe is possible, it's kind of like we can manifest all these different things in our life if we quit letting our mind or our fear or insecurity, if we put work and effort. And I think you can manifest a lot of victory and success in the world. That's why this could seem very victorious and successful too, but it's more motivated and inspired by the world. If we really take action aligned with truth and love, we get in jobs and career fields and friendships and relationships with people that are aligned with our truth, that are loving and encouraging and supportive, and we in turn can be that way with them. That's when we can really give birth to something really abundant. Versus people who it's like, well, is this more going to benefit me? Am I going to have status and image and recognition? Am I going to be indulged? We can put in work and effort to have stability and security and stuff like that in our life, but are we more willing to listen, to be inspired within ourselves, to invest in what is more aligned with our truth from a place of love and listening to our intuition? And sometimes some people aren't willing to do that, so We could know people who are more shadowy. We could know people who are more just and fair and loving. But again, we're just all at these different stages. Some people stopped here. Some people are here. Other people are here and they're still trying to just emotionally work through feeling more balanced within themselves. Other people work through that and they're over here. And then other people are over here, where do we get the difference between the 1 and the 8 is the 7 of Wands, which is it's all these phases of getting out of our ego to invest in continuing to look at life from a higher perspective, letting love and intuition guide us versus our fear and our insecurity and all these different things that can manipulate us. The 8 of Wands typically shows people, we can wait for a while, needless. We can, again, all along that journey, be offering people in our life truth and love and encouragement. But while some people are continuing to grow and mature themselves, other people are choosing not to or stopping somewhere else along the way. And that can just be, there's all these different lessons to learn. Some people went from a page to be more like a knight. Then some people emotionally grew and matured themselves and they went from a page to a knight to a queen over time. And then they went to the king, and then they went to the King of Wands. And some people are kind of waiting in the 8 of Wands, like communicating with people in truth and love. This is my truth, but I am not going to indulge people in poor behavior. If you want to come with, come with. But if you want to keep repeating some of these old patterns, and there'll be some people that are in your life that are moving forward with you in that way, as you move forward in your life, meeting other people who are kind of maybe ahead of the game than you. And it's like, I'm going to keep moving forward to find people who are more on the same page. And I might meet some people along the way, get to know them. Those people might move forward. We, in turn, could communicate with other people to see if they want to move forward. Some of those people we might find out, oh, I got to move forward from them because they're kind of, at a stage where they're still learning at that phase of life. I think the high vibe people are ready to give birth to something new. And they're investing in it. They're taking action on it. They're moving forward in it. And they, and giving birth to something new, just like as a human being, but this is more like emotionally. But this is investing time, energy, and effort into a dream to get the justice you want, wanting to work with people who work together with you, who are just and fair and loving and encouraging. But it all takes time, and again, with shadowy energy kind of represented by the devil, well, the devil is kind of more about more instant gratification, and Virgo is about slow, steady steps. Even if it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, then maybe 2 steps forward, then maybe 2 steps back. But it's like, I'm not going to go back to a certain way of doing things. I've closed out that chapter, and part of that could be I'm not going to I'm going to maintain balance within myself, not to indulge poor behavior within myself or others, but again, some people, it's always a goal. People can, and then it's like, nope, that's it. Got to close that out. Might need to see what I need to distance myself from and keep moving forward. So let's go ask what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Virgo energy that they might not see coming. And it's kind of this idea too, when we quit investing more of our time, energy, effort into things that aren't aligned with our truth, and we start investing in things that are more aligned with our truth, that's kind of when we're kind of going with the flow of the universe, and where we will the path will lead us to people who are more on the same page as us. It's like keep looking in the same place for something that's not there. You're not going to find it there because it doesn't exist there. And we need to get out of denial about the truth of it and accept the truth, get out of our ego, and go invest in our truth. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Virgo that they might not see coming? The Seven of Wands and the Knight of Swords, and the reason is because of the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords can mean that in all three of your air sign energies of your Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini, your free will, you have a dream, what you think is just and fair. You've given birth to something new. And also kind of being like a good mother, father, coach voice to yourself, to invest in your own inner child nature that wants truth and justice and fairness. You know, and maybe getting back to that more hopeful, believing nature within yourself when we're not being in relationship with people that their truth isn't our truth, and we might not think they're just and fair, you know, and we might find it not very emotionally fulfilling or loving. And because of that, you stood up for yourself in the Six of Wands or the Seven of Wands. You moved away from something that, again, by worldly standards, could have looked kind of victorious and successful. But their truth was different than your truth. And you could have known that some of the people in your life kind of held this energy in a more shadowy way. They wanted you to keep being defensive and staying where you were at and kind of indulging them in some type of relationship or workplace situation. And you stood up for yourself, and you're standing and fighting for your truth. And now they're defensive because maybe initially, you know, you were more defensive. And this whole situation in your life could have been to get you to stand up for yourself. And again, you could have had that more hopeful, believing nature. It's like, oh no, I'm sure they'll be more just and fair. Oh no, I'm sure they'll quit being immature. Oh no, I'm sure. And eventually it's like, we kind of got to accept the truth. Not everybody is motivated to work together with people that way. And we better start standing up for our more hopeful, believing nature, because there is people in the world that will try to take advantage of you just for how it benefits them. And they really don't give a damn about how you feel. They don't care if you feel heartbroken. They don't care if you have mental conflict. They don't care if you feel betrayed. So long as it works for them. And eventually it's like, well, it doesn't work for me. And then I think as you do that, and you're moving forward, still being loving and encouraging, in the Page of Swords, it can be, you know, trying to just get to know other people. But also now you stand up and protect yourself more than you maybe did before. About, you know, still being loving and encouraging to people, but no longer in denial. When you see people and they act kind of shadowy or manipulative or immature, it's like, yeah, I see that. No longer in denial. You're a little shadowy. And note taken. And I'm going to be got my guard up and know the truth about you, and I'm probably gonna not invest as much time, energy, and effort, and I'm gonna go look for the people who seem to have less shadowy traits and characteristics. And as other people see you doing that, other people could see you as someone they do want to, and you could have people in your life that you stand up and defend in that way, and people who defend you in that way. And but I think there's always going to be more shadowy people. There's always going to be shadowy people in the world who want to be the next shadowy person to indulge in a relationship with you. And I think you've just learned these lessons to be able to get along with people in a, maintain balance in it, but no illusions. When they show you their whatever way they are, you accept the truth of it, note taken, and yeah, there won't be anything more that goes on. They kind of stay in the friend zone. That's kind of like the Page of Swords, too. This isn't moving forward any differently with anybody that I know is more shadowy. Now, the people who might be more authentic and warm and loving and just and fair and seem to be truthful, yeah, those people things could move forward with. What's coming up for the people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo that they don't see coming? The Five of Wands and the Judgment card. Why? Because of the Five of Cups. So that was the difference between the Eight of Cups and the Three of Cups here. The other people kind of can't move forward. They can try. They can go get a different job, a different friendship, a different relationship. But they end up having judgment called on them. And some of them might have judgment called on them again. Because they have inner conflict about maybe holding themselves accountable for their actions. And other people are kind of sad being in a relationship with them. They could be competitive, is what the Five of Wands talks about. They harness a shadowy Leo energy. Not willing to be more authentic. Again, fire sign can want to be in the relationship, but don't really want to do love. And other people call judgment on them. I don't want to keep being in a relationship. And again, nothing, the fives talk about change, that no, nothing ever changes. This keeps happening over and over. Nothing changes. Other people want to move forward differently. And the other people have mental conflict about that. Because they'd have to work through some of these issues emotionally that could manipulate them. Either their fear of love, haven't dealt with some past pain and heartbreak that makes them fearful, like to be more competitive and emotionally manipulative in a relationship, other people calling judgment on them. But that can be their way of operating in the world and how they decide they want to keep being. Well, if they keep having inner conflict about whatever it is that manipulates them, more high vibrational people are going to move on. They're going to get over it. And again, they could be defensive to change. I don't want to change. Well, that's fine. They don't have to change. But other people who could get in friendship or relationship with them, eventually those people don't stay the same. They do kind of grow and heal and mature themselves over time. But there can always be people who are like, no, I don't want to do anything different. This is the way I want to do it forever. And other people will move on. And they could always be sad that other people move on. They could be sad that other people do this work within themselves to love and believe in themselves, to just be more independent. They could have people in their life that they're not willing to become independent of. Like, if those people don't move forward, I'm not going to move forward. And those people aren't moving forward, so I'm not going to move forward. So they could just be codependent on a friend group or their original family group or something, and just not willing to put in this work and effort within themselves emotionally to kind of stand up for themselves and love themselves and have a little more hope and faith and belief in themselves. And because they don't, all these different things, the past, other people, the world, their ego, their fear, all those things can manipulate them. And for some, it's just that they do want to be in a relationship, but they just kind of want to indulge themselves in a relationship. Some of them don't want to move forward with it. I just want to be in a relationship and kind of indulge myself in it. I don't really want to. If you did take from the Five of Wands and call judgment on it and move forward, you would have the Six of Wands, which is up here. We were talking about the Seven of Wands, having a victory worth defending. And some people are like, oh no, I don't want to do that. Let's just keep doing this. But other people don't want to say, if it's a dating situation, I don't want to date someone forever. Do you love me? Do you not love me? Do you Do we want to work on this? Do we not? But I'm not going to stay in a relationship. If maybe some people are still in inner conflict about someone else they'd like to be in a relationship. And sometimes people get in relationships with other people. They move forward in other relationships, but the whole time they're focused on someone from their past. Are they coming in? I created this illusion. Look, I'm moving on with someone else. Aren't you coming? Aren't you going to come tell me that you want to be in a relationship? I mean, if they want to be in a relationship with someone, they should go communicate with that person. But some people, a little bit in their ego, don't want to go communicate with people that, hey, I'm sad, our relationship didn't work out. Not willing to humble themselves, speak their truth. Maybe if they did that, maybe some of those relationships would work out. But some people, it's like, oh, I have an idea. And again, it's like, I'm going to try to manipulate someone. I'm going to try to get them in their ego and make them sad. I want to be in a relationship with this person from my past, but no, I decide in my ego, I'm going to let go of the truth and love, and I'm going to think this is a good idea to close out a cycle with them and go invest and indulge in a relationship with someone else, hoping the other person will maybe be hurt or sad enough that, my manipulation tactic will work. And that's what some people are doing right now in a relationship. Like, I'm not going to be just and fair, try to heal the relationship. I'm going to repeat some poor past patterns that I think will hurt you because I don't want you being more independent, and I don't like you loving and believing in yourself, and I don't like you wanting me to be more just and fair. So I'm going to go do these things, and that can work for a really long time in a relationship. Until eventually the people in their life are like, I'm done. Did I want this relationship to work out? Could I love this person? Yeah, but nothing changes. And I keep ending up feeling heartbroken and sad. And I'm going to get out of my ego about it. You can go do that with someone else. I'm going to emotionally invest in healing. And I'm going to close out this cycle because I have a dream and I see my dream cannot come into reality here. And I am going to stand up for my truth and my loving nature. And apparently you didn't appreciate that. So I'm going to go live my life, not go in a relationship to try to manipulate or control other people. I mean, if it happens, it happens. But the main thing is for me to stand up for my truth out of love for myself. And then when those people do that, and some of those people are doing that right now, shadowy people could be, I'll show them, and off they go to get in a relationship with, or friendship, or different job where they think someone will indulge them, or they'll be willing to indulge someone else. It's all a thing of ego, image, status, or being indulged. And if one person won't indulge them, they'll just go find somebody else to indulge them. If it's more about ego and image, and they don't want to do love, and the people they're in a relationship with want them to do love or be more independent, no, you can go, I'll go find someone else to try to get in a relationship with me to, because it's just about the status and the ego and the image for some of them. It's not about love anyway. And they'll be sad that other people loved and believed in themselves not to stay in a relationship for just these worldly reasons. Because they're willing to stay in a relationship more for just the worldly reasons. And the other people are inspired by love. So they'll go find someone else who they think is more on the same page as them. So there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.